Hi, and welcome to Terry Talks Movies. This time around, I've got some new releases from Umbrella Entertainment. They are collector's editions, though there are standard editions of some of these movies. They range pretty widely. One is a weird art piece, which probably needs some explaining, and I haven't seen it yet, so I can't explain it to you. Two of them are science fiction movies that require multiple viewings to really understand. And the fourth one is an Australian hidden gem horror film, filmed in Adelaide, like all the best Australian horror films. Talk to Me was filmed in Adelaide. The Babadook was filmed in Adelaide. It seems to be the horror capital of Australia these days. And thank you very much to Umbrella Entertainment for sending these ones over for me to review. We're going to start with a weird film, a deeply weird film. Harmony Korine's Trash Humpers, which has got a beautiful piece of cover art there. I'll also show you the back cover art, which is a little bit naughty, but we'll get away with it. I knew nothing about this one. I knew about Harmony Korine's other movie, Spring Breakers, and that he was a little bit of a controversial filmmaker, but he wasn't particularly on my radar. Now, the collector's edition's only available from the Umbrella web store. I'll let you know that right up front. And it's a story of a bunch of old people who wander around the streets doing transgressive things and humping piles of trash. Some people argue whether it's a cult movie masquerading as an art piece or an art piece masquerading as a cult movie. And it's a very good thing that they've got a lot of extras in this to make this movie comprehensible. I've watched a trailer for it, but I haven't watched the film yet, and I will sit down and watch it at some stage. Apparently it was filmed on old VHS tapes, that direct-to-video look from the 80s and 90s. And I kind of want to stretch out a little bit and see films like this. There's a slipcover as well, which I think is on a standard edition. There it is, a little bit low res, but there is one side of it. And here is the other, which gives you a bit of an idea of the kind of sub-John Waters aesthetic of this movie. There's the interior cover, and it's got one of those flip covers, of course, so you can get rid of the Australian censorship classification by flipping over to that side. I'll read you what it says on the back, just so you understand what the film's about. A gang of elderly people spend their time roaming back alleys, vandalising, causing trouble, frequently tormenting those they come in contact with, and humping trash. What follows is a chaotic, nihilistic, and perhaps nightmarish journey into the dark underside of small-town America, all shot through with a VHS aesthetic that lends a film a found footage quality. Why not? Have a bit of fun. And inside in the collector's edition, you get a poster, a double-sided poster. And I like posters, even though I probably won't stick this one up. There's one side of it. That's the kind of thing you'd see standing up behind a garage band. And there's that version of it as well. But there's more. You get steak knives. Well, no, what you actually get is a booklet and some art cards. There's the booklet. An essay by Jack Sargent in there. Another essay by Shane Inouye. A lot of information, so that when you watch the movie and go, what did I just watch? That's going to help you. We also got the art cards, which I haven't had a look at yet, and I don't know whether I have to hold my finger over one of them in case it's a little bit naughty. Again, all the actors are wearing old people masks, so they're not real old people. And I think they may have spent about $1.25 on costumes. One of the other motifs in the movie is baby dolls. And this one looks like a whole bunch of pictures I've seen on Facebook at various barbecues. That one, and that one. Like I said, deeply weird movie. Now, you get the 48-page booklet with the essay by Fergus Greeley, Jack Sargent, and Shane Inouye. You get the custom art slipcase by Johnny Smooth Design Company by Johnny Bekovac. 8 art cards, an A3 reversible poster, a limited edition, and there are 1,000 in this limited edition. On the special features, you get Trash Talk, a video essay by Greg Ferris and Sean Gladwell. Bad Grandparents, an audio essay by Kat Ellinger. Monster Fresh Q&A with the director Harmony Korine in Seattle 2010. Gordon and the Whale interview with director Harmony Korine. South by Southwest 2011. Trash Humpers original soundtrack, outtakes, and a theatrical trailer. If you're into transgressive cinema, you're going to want to have that one in your collection. This is not the kind of movie I'm going to watch while my nephew Billy is down visiting, but I will watch it. I don't mind transgressive movies. I like Female Trouble and all of those wonderful John Waters movies, and this one has a little bit of the same aesthetic about it. Next one I've got is the collector's edition and a limited edition of 1500. It's a movie that was made for $7,000 by Shane Carruth. Weird science fiction movie about time travel of a very specific and a very grounded sort. Primer. There's the end case of the hardcover. Primer, if you haven't seen it, is about a couple of Silicon Valley guys who want to do a startup who accidentally stumble upon a kind of time travel where you go into a box, which is the time travel device, and if you stay in the box for 10 hours, you travel 10 hours into the past. So it's like real-time time travel in reverse. The two of them use it, of course, to speculate on shares, and then things start getting more complex when it becomes obvious to them that each of them is jumping back and changing the timeline. It's a movie that you've got to watch more than once if you come at it fresh, because you probably won't dig it the first time around. Here's the cover with a very PCB look about it, which is very groovy and continues on the back. That'd make a really good Windows wallpaper. You've got the interior cover, which of course again is reversible, and the disc itself with the more standard cover to it there. You also get the reversible poster on this one with that look if you want to have it, or you can have that one with the time travel box and the cables snaking out from it. We also have the art cards, which are there. Then you can see that the color grading is very specifically done in this movie. And there's the storage air container where the machine is set. The two guys talking. One of the integrated circuits they use. Again, that. And the readout. And the prototype box they use at first. What I suggest if you watch this movie is to keep the subtitles on, because there's a lot of tech talk in there and some of it's not very loud. So to get the full gist of what the guys are talking about in the film, you might want to keep the subtitles on. There's also a booklet there and there. Now the booklet's got some good essays in it. There's an about the production, giving you the details of how they made the film for $7,000. There's a Q&A with the writer-director Shane Carruth. And there's an essay about Primer from somebody I know, Travis Johnson. And I want to see more from Travis, particularly from Umbrella, because he knows his stuff and he writes eloquently about it. And there's also artwork from the movie. Primer's not a movie for the people who want zoom zoom bang bang kind of science fiction. It's a thought piece as much as anything. It talks about the implications of time travel, and it does a lot with very little. But it's great that they put out a premium edition. There was a previous UK edition where Primer was put out with the second movie that Shane Carruth did, Upstream Color, in a single disc Blu-ray version, but this has got so much more information that it's the edition you really want to have, and it sits nicely on the shelf. There's also Upstream Color this month, and there is the slipcase. Again, it's another limited edition of 1000. There's nothing apart from a bit of color grading on the back. Upstream Color is again a weird movie. It's about a woman who gets a larvae put into her body from a man who wants to basically rip her off. She becomes very susceptible to suggestion because of this larvae in her body, and the guy rips her off. And the larvae are then transferred into other animals and plants to complete a life cycle. It's a weird movie. It's hard to describe in a few words. Visually really interesting, and it was made on a much larger budget than Primer was. A lot of people were disappointed by it, but I found it kind of intriguing. There's things to do with orchids and pigs in it, which I'll leave you to enjoy as you go on the journey of the film. But it's a weird kind of biological horror story in a sense. There is some body horror in it as well. Inside the slipcase you get another little slipcover with some beautiful artwork. I love that artwork. And on the back you've got a little bit of a scientific explanation for some of the events in the movie. Inside you get a more traditional artwork on the cover, and again on the back. It's a reversible cover with the Australian censorship classifications. You get that poster as well. I really like that poster art. I think that's beautiful stuff, and I'd be tempted to put it on the wall if I didn't have 50 things on the wall already. Or you can have that one, which I think's much less interesting as a poster. Again, you get the art cards. There's the woman who is affected by this larvae. Bit of a cheek shot. And she meets up with a man who was also affected by the larvae, and they are huddling in a bathtub. There's the orchid that's part of the life cycle. There's Shane Carruth, who also stars in the movie. A little bit of laboratory stuff. A little bit of the biological stuff. The Upstream Color extras are audio, commentary by science fiction expert Andrew Frost, experimental video response by filmmaker Ian Haig, a teaser trailer, Head Like the Sun, teaser trailer, Starling teaser trailer, and an isolated soundtrack. And of course you also get the booklet. And the booklet, with these kind of movies where it is complex and what just happened a little bit, kind of science fiction, having these booklets is really useful, and having not necessarily an explanation, but a widening of what you see versus what the intention of the filmmaker is. And there's an essay in this called Upstream Color, A Guide for the Perplexed by Leon Marvell. And yeah, I think that's a good thing to have in this one. And there are also some more images there from the movie. I love these booklets that Umbrella are doing. And there's another one that says Life Cycles of the A-Human and Unthinking, Essence and Existence in Upstream Color. So there's a lot of really good stuff here. There's a lot of meat on the bone in these extras. That's by David Salfer from the University of Edinburgh. And there is some of this beautiful artwork there. A lot of people didn't like Upstream Color. I liked it. I found it fascinating. I like the fact that it's science fiction that's different from anything else that was coming up. And as you're watching it, it's not predictable. You don't know what's going to happen next. But when it does, it intrigues you. Now, Shane Carruth, the creator of both this and Primer, is a bit of a problematic person. He has been accused of domestic violence, and I thought I needed to say that so you can make an informed decision about whether you're going to follow this guy's career or not. I'm putting that aside, watching these movies and reviewing them, but I just thought I would make you aware of that. And then we get to the fourth one, which is The Hidden Gem. And I watched this one last night, and it had me fascinated all the way through. Fairly low budget, filmed in Adelaide horror movie, which pretty much just has two characters in it in one setting. And that setting is a double-wide caravan or a double-wide trailer on a stormy night, when the man who lives there, whose name is Patrick, played by Brendan Rock, hears a knock on his door, and there's a bedraggled woman there who's wet from the rain. She's got no shoes on, and she needs somebody to call her a taxi, basically, so that she can go back to where she's staying. That's a little bit of a problem for Patrick. He doesn't have a phone, and the phone box, you can't get to it easily. And he lives in this out-of-the-way caravan park in a rural part of South Australia. And so the two of them start talking. He gives her a towel, he gives her a jumper to wear. He talks to her and she talks to him. She's obviously very nervous because this big hulking guy. And the female character in this is played by Jordan Cowan. She's really good in this too. They start talking, and menace starts building up. The sound design in this movie is extraordinary. You get the rain hitting the roof of the caravan. You get the wind bashing against the windows. You get a real sense of dread, and the use of a 1960s pop song in a very disturbing way, in the same way that David Lynch used Blue Velvet in Blue Velvet and In Dreams by Roy Orbison. It's got that kind of vibe about it. It's 90 minutes long. It's wonderfully shot. Two characters, one location. And as the movie progresses, you realise that it's a waking nightmare that's occurring. But what you don't know is whose nightmare it is until right near the end. And there is a horror aspect to it. You can see it as supernatural if you choose to, but it's not necessarily the case. And it's a really tough little film. It was directed by Josiah Allen and Indiana Bell, and they do a fantastic job of it. It is a really disturbing and intriguing little movie. Like I said, done on a pretty small budget. The extras on this one are pretty good as well. You'll Never Find Me is an incredibly interesting movie. I do believe it's streaming on Shudder at the moment, but that's not going to last forever. You want a physical copy of this. Wonderful artwork there too. Basic but really evocative. I like the artwork on that. The back's just got the star ratings from various reviewers. Comes with a J card, and I like a good J card. There it is on the back. Underneath the slipcover you've got alternative artwork there. Again, it's reversible artwork with the censorship classification on one side. And you also get a smaller booklet about the movie. There's a director intro, there's statements by the directors, and also a statement by Max Corkindale, the cinematographer, who does a wonderful job. This movie looks beautiful. There are storyboards for the stories. I won't show you too much of that in case it gets into spoiler territory. There's even a blueprint for part of the set there, which I find really interesting. There's behind the scenes stills in there as well, but I won't spoil those for you. The extras on this one fascinated me. They're not extensive, but I really liked what there was. Special features are an audio commentary with the directors Josiah Allen and Indiana Bell, a behind the scenes montage which shows the whole process of building the set, painting the set, getting everything ready, getting all of the gear ready, special effects stuff for the actors. It's a wonderful montage of about 5 or 6 minutes, just showing you the whole process of making the movie. And I want to see more things like that. It's an incredibly good extra to have on the movie. And it shows you that the caravan, there is an exterior set for the caravan / trailer, but there's also an interior set on a soundstage where they built the entire thing on the soundstage and found ways to have rain bashing against the windows and to build the atmosphere in a controlled environment, much more controlled, of course, than just doing it on location. And I found that montage really fascinating. One day I'd love to go onto a film set. If anybody is a filmmaker and in Melbourne and wants somebody to just wander around their film set for a day, I'm your man. I would love to do that. I promise not to get in the way. I promise not to yell at people. I promise not to get in anyone's way. But this one is a hidden gem. It's a limited edition of 300 on this one. And my suggestion is get it as soon as you can. If you're into horror, you're going to like this one. And the way it builds its atmosphere and it builds that uncertainty about whose nightmare is it is an incredibly good. It's a debut feature by these filmmakers as well. And I want to see what they do in future. I think they've got great careers ahead of them in whatever they want to do. And they built a little horror movie which is just different enough from everything else to be really intriguing. And I like a horror movie that doesn't give me the ending before the ending arrives. And the ending it gives me is immensely satisfying. You need to check that one out. You need to have a copy of that one. So there are the 4 releases from Umbrella this month that I received. Thanks again to Umbrella. I appreciate giving me the opportunity to see these films. I will post a link in the description of the video to where you can get these movies. Some of the collector's editions are only available on the Umbrella website, so you want to get them from there. It's an interesting month this month, and the movies are very different. Each one is nothing like the previous one. For me, the most valuable player is You'll Never Find Me. I think that does a lot with very little, and I could say a lot more about it, but I'll be getting into spoilers. I enjoyed it more than most horror movies I've ever watched, and particularly most horror movies I watched this year. It works. It does what it intends to do extremely well. So that's it for this time around. Thanks a lot for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave a comment. Tell me which one of these you'd like to watch. Which 2 of them? Which 2 of these intrigue you the most? And Luna has just clawed me on the leg. So you can also support the channel by donating at patreon.com/terrytalksmovies. Next up, I've got Science Fiction Saturday coming up, and I've got some interesting things sorted out for that. Until then, watch some good movies. Watch these movies, and I'll catch you next time.